Hey guys, happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having a glorious Sunday. The sun is shining here in the mountains. It is beautiful. So we are chilling out in the forest right now. I got my little blankie out. We're going to be slinging some cards. We're going to be making a special banishing tea per your guys' votes. And that was actually a pretty close one. So we're going to do a couple of things actually, because it was like almost a tie. But anyway, before we get into that, if you don't know who I am Tara with Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. You can learn a little bit more about me by checking out the information box down below. You can check out my website, kittensweightsandtarot.com. You could check out my witchy shop, Desert Cauldron, over on Etsy. You look for ways to maybe support the channel over on Patreon and YouTube members. So thank you to everybody who's going to be coming in today. Hope, like I said, that you guys are having a glorious Sunday. And guess what? Today is the anniversary of the very first Star Wars. So on May 25th of 1977, hence what it says on my shirt, ding! The very first Star Wars movie came out. So in honor of that, we will still be doing our weekly reading, but it's going to be done in the form of a Star Wars spread. So, let me backtrack just a little bit. Hey, Kayla's here. Riley says, good morning, Earthlings. Kayla says, hi, Tara and everyone. My two awesome Mighty moderators. By the way, lots of love to all of my Mighty moderators, all of my subscribers, and all of the people who do support the channel. So I put out a poll onto my YouTube channel page. I usually do that like every Thursday, just with like 4 topics, 4 things that we could do during the live chat. And everybody is allowed to vote. It's public. It's everybody, you know, all subscribers. But I also put that same poll over on my Patreon page, and I also give it to my YouTube members. So if there are some things that you are aching to see, just know that you get extra votes as a patron and as a YouTube member. And if you're both, well, then that's just doubly extra votes. So it was very close when I counted in Patreon's votes and the YouTube members and the public. It was pretty much neck and neck, maybe one out by like 1 vote. But I was like, you know what? It's so close. A lot of people wanted a Star Wars spread for today, but they also wanted to make a healing, banishing negativity matcha tea. And so we're going to do both today. So for the weekly reading, we're going to turn that actually into a Star Wars spread. And then we're going to make our tea. So, Star says, hi, space whoopies. Nice to be here again. Hey, it's Patrick. What's up? Hey, dude. How are you? Okay, so let's see. But before I bust out our Star Wars spread for our weekly reading, I do want to give a shout out, like I said, to not only my Mighty moderators, to my subscribers, but also to my YouTube members, Kayla, Nancy, Astrid, Jolene, Duality Tales. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Also to my lovely patrons, Lily and Dana, Jamie, Kayla, Sugna Baby, Brandy, Jason, Brian, Palu, Crystal, Easy Does It, Oz, Joel, 1111, Casey Gritter, and Calm Chaos. Thank you guys so much for all of the support. Kayla says, yay, matcha. I know she was like really jonesing for making some matcha tea today. So, so yes, Kayla, your wishes came true. Alrighty. So before we get to our lovely matcha tea making, I have Sasha Graham's 365 tarot spreads. And this is one of my favorite tarot spreads books. I have other tarot spreads books. I also have spreads that I've created myself. So I've kind of created like my own like spiral notebook of spreads, but I really like Sasha Graham's spreads. And if you look into today, for those who do have this book, on page 153, under May 25th, what does that say right there? Star Wars spread. Hey, our buddy John is also here. What's up, John? Okay. So, before I read that in our very special Star Wars spread, so that we can take a look into the upcoming week, let me show you the decks that I'm going to be working with, and let me know what decks you guys are working with. Or maybe you're not working with decks at all. Maybe you're working with runes. Maybe you're working with something else. Maybe you're pulling down some good old-fashioned channeling and intuition, which I'm all for. So let me know. I do feel that the more people that weigh in on the weekly reading, the more well-rounded that reading, because there are so many different higher selves pulling down from the collective consciousness and so many different perspectives and backgrounds, that I think it just creates such a fuller, richer reading. So anyway, the decks that I will be working with are some new decks that I have. The Earthly Souls and Spirits Moon Oracle. I have the OG Earthly Souls and Spirits deck by Terry Foss, and this one was created by her and her daughter, actually. And then this is her newest one. So I have both out here. I have the Spiritual Meaning of Birds. I don't know if you can hear the birdies in the background, but they're all here. So, so anyway, so I have my birdie deck. And in honor of the tea that we're going to be making, I have the Herbal Tea Magic for the Modern Witch Oracle and the Green Witches Oracle. So, yay! Okie dokie. Now, let's go on to our Star Wars spread. So excited. P.S. Or by the way, was anybody in the chat around to actually see the very first Star Wars when it came out? I was not yet born. My mother was still in high school. Actually, she was finishing high school when the first Star Wars came out. But I was born a few years later. So, but if anybody actually in honor of Star Wars Day today, I don't know why they made May 4th, like, maybe because it sounds better, May the 4th be with you. But they said, as I was doing my research, that it was California that came up with May the 4th be with you, which sounds cool, but it's not the actual anniversary. So it's May 25th. But if anybody's going to be actually watching the very first Star Wars today, do let me know. I remember, when did I see it? I saw it actually when I was I was like a toddler, and I think my uncle Danny took me, I don't know where, it wasn't on TV, I don't think. I don't know where I saw it, but I remember being very young, and I remember being with my uncle, and I remember having, he had these like Star Wars figurines, and so I had a little Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I had that in my pocket. And I just remember like feeling it, and like I had it in the pocket, and then all I remember is my uncle turning to me, because he's like 7 years older than me, and he was like, "Use the Force, Tara." It's like, but yeah, so that I was probably like 3 or something like that when I remember sort of seeing it, what I sort of remember. Yay! Some of our buddies all coming in. This is awesome. Okay, so for this Star Wars spread, let me read it to you guys again from Sasha Graham's book. On this day, Star Wars was released on this day, May 25th, 1977. This epic film uses the Force, described by Obi-Wan Kenobi as the energy field surrounding and enveloping all living things. Like magic, the Force binds all organic beings and the galaxy together. The Star Wars spread uses the concept of the Force to inquire about the electric, magical energy coursing through your life. George Lucas used archetypal mythology constructs to create Star Wars. The film has been compared to the practices and beliefs of many major religions, including Taoism, Buddhism, Hinduism, and Christianity. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda live alone, so they're kind of like the hermit card, sequestered in isolation until Luke discovers them. Their powerful knowledge is unleashed when Luke shows he is ready to learn. The hermit's lamp is indicative of all the knowledge he would share with those who are ready, a reminder of the age-old concept that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Okay. Wow. The tree just gifted me a piece of resin. Thanks, Pine Tree. Okay, so it says, cast your cards in the shape of an X-Wing fighter, the chosen space vehicle of the Rebel Alliance. Woo! Okay, so you could, cast it, make it look like this, but that's totally up to you. um, Patrick says, I have seen them all. Dude, nice. Nice. Okay, so I'll read through the questions and then I'll go through the questions one by one. So if you don't catch them right now, that's okay, because we're going to go through them one by one. And if you are watching the replay, well, then you'll catch all the questions. All right. So number one, what is the force to you? Number two, what energy courses through you? Number three, how can you train yourself to be more sensitive to your power? Number four, what creates a disturbance in your force? Number five, are you tempted by the dark side? Number six, how do I filter emotions like fear? Number seven, how can you use your force for compassion? And lastly, question number eight, what is the destiny you must fulfill? Ooh, your hidden destiny. Okay, so let me put this where I can see it so I can go through these questions one by one with you guys. Okay, what deck do I want to use with this? Gosh. Well, you know what? Let's use Terry Foss's new deck, the Earthly Souls and Spirits Moon Oracle. Let's do it. Hey, Heather's here. She says, hello, beautiful Tara, Riley, Patrick, Kayla, John. Good morning, you all. Good morning, Heather. I kind of felt like for a moment we were in class, like, good morning, Mrs. Campbell. Good morning, Heather. All right. So let me shuffle up my cards here. And let's do this. Let's do this one by one. Heather's over there cracking up. Okay, so I would say for you guys, if you're pulling cards or you're pulling down some intuition, you could do it either for like the collective consciousness, or you could do it for yourself personally. It's totally up to you, but definitely share what you guys are getting. Like I said, it creates such a well-rounded reading. Okay, so I am going to do it for the collective consciousness because that's what I do for the weekly readings. I do it for everybody. Okay, but I think I will do it later for myself. So, but like after the live chat. Okay, but maybe I'll share it on Instagrams. Ooh, oh yeah. So definitely go check out Instagram at Kittens, Weights, and Tarot. And I'll share what I got for my Star Wars spread, my personal Star Wars spread. Okay, you guys, question number one. So for the collective, what is even the Force? Okay, let's see. Just make a little room here. Okay, the Force is beautiful. I mean, true. The Force is beautiful. Okay, so let me tap into this one. Okay, so for the collective, and it's something that we can tap into this week, our own personal force. But the force energy, that is the thing that really lights us up. When we feel comfortable, we just feel like this is right. That's how you know that you are in alignment with your heart space, with your higher self, or in Star Wars' case, the Force. And you're really tapping into that soulful energy. So when you meet somebody for the first time and it's like, wow, we just like click, this feels right. I feel really good around this person. You know that you are in soul alignment. When you, let's say, are interviewing for a job and for some reason, like this job just feels right. Something feels really good about this job. I feel like I'm at home here. You know that you're in soul alignment. Same thing with anything, when you're with certain family members, when you, let's say, visit a new place for the first time. Like when I was in Italy, it wasn't all parts of Italy, but when I was in Viterbo and I was like in that Tuscan area, it was like, wow, this feels really in alignment. I felt really at home when I was there. I felt at home with the people. I felt at home with like the legit like cobblestone on the street, the connection to the trees. And that's what that force energy is for the collective, is when we just feel, it feels right. There is no forcing anything. even though we are talking about the force. But there is no forcing. It just is. It just feels right. It feels beautiful, actually, as the card suggests. Okay, well, I dig that. Okay, question número dos. Okay, how can you train yourself to be more sensitive to your power? So how can you train yourself to be more sensitive to your power? So for me, again, I'm going to look at it for the collective. How can we train ourselves to be more sensitive to our power? Okay, let's see. Compassion. Okay, to be more sensitive to our own intuition, to be more sensitive to, the energy of those around us and all of that, in order to be more sensitive to all of that, to tap into what people call their psychic abilities and things like that, is really to show yourself self-love, to be compassionate with the self. If we're always putting ourselves last, we are saying that we are disconnected from the collective consciousness. We're saying we're separate from this beautiful world, from this beautiful dimension, from all the dimensions, from, whatever source energy or whatever name you want to call it. You're saying that you're separate from that. And to be separate from that, then how on earth are we supposed to feel like we can connect to what is essentially us, our intuition, the part of that? So if you would like to strengthen your psychic abilities, strengthen your intuition, strengthen just that understanding, that knowing, then you have to have compassion for yourself. You have to realize that you are just as worthy, just as important, and just as capable as everybody else here, not only on this planet, but in all dimensions, that you are just as capable. So when we take the time to show ourselves, some self-love, self-care, and to realize that, I'm just as important as my neighbor, as my best friend, as my sister, as my brother, as our significant other, then we become even more connected to those people, even more connected to those energies, and even more connected to our heart space, which, in Star Wars term, is the connection to the force. It's the connection to all things. So it is compassion. I love that. And Heather says the higher self truth, suspended connection consciousness. And that was for the first question. Ooh, I love that. So what is the force? The higher self truth, suspended connection consciousness. Nice. I love that. Okay. I think I did 2 and 3 out of order. So we're going to go back and do number 2. That's fine. It's okay. It doesn't matter if they're out of order. But number 2, what energy courses through you? Or in this instance, what energy courses through us? All right. What energy courses through us? Ooh, I will say it's rather toasty in the sun. I can dig it. Okay. What energy courses through us? And here we have the wish card. Ooh, that's so beautiful. I've been dreaming about ravens lately. They've kind of been coming up ever since seeing the crows at my friend's place in Orange County, in California. Got to go on my little California trip. Okay, so let me tap in. Okay, the energy that courses through us is the energy of infinity. It is the energy of everything, of all things. That quite literally is source energy. Source energy is all things. Source energy is this tree that I'm sitting next to. Source energy is me. Source energy is the heart beating inside my chest. Source energy is the tarantula hole right next to me. Source energy even is this cup that is going to be turned into a nice cup of tea later on. Source energy is all things, even the things that we have created. Sometimes we think that if things are like man-made, they're no longer special, but they still have an energy to them. Maybe some people don't like to work with man-made things, but it's still, it didn't just like up here. It had to be created by someone or something, and that something was a human being. That human being is full of magic. That human being is full of energy. So when they create something, they're putting their energy into that, and they're creating something out of what they saw in their mind. That quite literally is magic. I see something in my mind and I've made it happen in 3D. So the things that energy that courses through all of us, that is that collective consciousness energy. That is that thing that connects all of us. And what George Lucas was trying to say is, he called it the force energy that connects all things, as above so below, as within so without. So I can dig that. All right, Silver Star said, ooh, and then she got 10 of Cups, universal love and abundance of the universe. It's everything. Nice. And John says, now I have Heavy California by the Jungle in my head. It's a good song. There we go. Giving me an earworm. I can dig it. I like it. The musical earworm. By the way, the California trip was amazing. I had a lot of fun. I really, 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 really loved being able to just sprint out into the ocean and feel the ocean again, because I hadn't felt the ocean in quite some time. So I was like, wow, everybody's like, it's 63 degrees. You probably don't want to go running out there. I'm like, I don't care. Woo. And you know what? It wasn't really that cold to me, but that's probably because I have mountain blood right now. So 63 degrees was not cold. I felt rather warm, actually. I thought it was great. I splashed around the waves a little bit. Got to do some California stuff. It was good. Got to go to the driving range with my best friend, and I will say that her and I are not great golfers, but it was fun. I liked whacking the ball. That was fun. That was great. So it was a good trip. Agnes, if you're watching, still hope you're vibing on that birthday energy, and still hope you're having a great time. Actually, she's on a 3-day weekend right now. She works at a preschool, so she's very happy to have her 3 days off. Okay, so let's see. Question numero 4. What creates a disturbance in your force? So what creates a disturbance in our force? Let's see. What creates a disturbance in our force? Oh, that's an interesting answer. Harmony? Okay, well, let me tap into that one, because that's an interesting answer. Actually, I feel it might be more in the reverse. Disharmony. Remember when we were talking about what is the force at the very beginning? That was our very first question. And we said it was that just knowing, you just feel really good in a particular place. You feel really good with a particular person. It just feels right. There is no trying to force anything. There's no trying. Everything feels right. Well, when there's a disturbance in the force, it's when we don't feel that connection. We feel that connection is severed. It's when we're going to that job and it's like, oh, every day it feels like I'm pulling teeth. It feels like I really have to just tear myself out of the bed to go to this job that I feel really not in alignment with. Or, I have to go hang out with this person who, it's just, I'm already counting the minutes when it's over and I haven't even gotten to meet with that person quite yet, where it's like, we really don't want to be there. We don't want to be around that person. I don't want to be around that situation. I don't want to be around that job. It's all of that disharmony. That's how we know that there's a disturbance, a disruption in that connection to our quote unquote force energy. And so that's something to take a look into. We're not saying that the situation is bad or that the job inherently is bad or that the person is bad. But for some reason, there's there's a dissimilar vibration going on between the two parties. So that's something to take a look into. So let's say there is a job that you're having a difficulty going to every day. So what is it about the job do you feel is creating that disharmony? Or, let's say it's with a person or a situation. What do you feel is creating that disharmony? Is it the feeling that you're getting? Is it that it's bringing up something from the past? Is it, a trigger for you? What is it? And usually if we go inwards and we do our shadow work and we look at, okay, well, maybe it's not the job itself, but it's what it brings up for me. And it reminds me of like, my mom looking over my shoulder when I was a kid. And, I just really don't like it when people look over my shoulder. So it's not the people at the job. It's not the job itself, but it's that feeling, somebody looking over my shoulder. Okay, now we've pinpointed it, that it's not the job itself. It's usually stemming from something from the past. And sometimes it could be past lives, but that's a different subject. So, we go inwards and we say, okay, I got to go and heal that aspect. And when we do, then we either become more in alignment with the job that we had and nothing really changed with the job itself and we're much more happy, or more opportunities arise and we have the ability now to possibly leave that job and go into something that is in more alignment. But it all starts with us. So it's actually a good thing when we feel disharmony sometimes, because it's waking us up to something that we need to heal, something we need to look at, and a way for us to actually eventually open up more opportunities for ourselves. So that's always a good thing. Okay. Question number 5. Are you tempted by the dark side? So are we tempted by the dark side? Let's see. I mean, technically, we're all a combination of positive and negative polarity. And it's just what polarity we vibe more with. So most of us, vibe with that positive polarity. Some people are vibing with the negative polarity. In this case, they call it the dark side. So are we tempted by the dark side? Let's see. Ooh, evolve. Okay, so it's saying sometimes in the ways that we get tempted by, let's say, the negative polarity. And I'm not saying that one polarity is better than the other. All of it is just learning, but obviously we do vibe with one more than the other. So for me, I don't vibe too well with the negative polarity, but I do understand that it's a great learning tool, and I do understand that some of that is within me. We're all duality polarity, dual polaric, so to speak. So with the negative polarity, they have a harder time looking within, going into the heart space. So they see a lot of themselves just in the outside world. Everything is outside of themselves. With the positive polarity, it's the reverse. That's how polarities work. The positive polarity looks inwards. They feel that everything is inside of themselves. So sometimes it can be tempting with the part of us that is our negative polarity aspect to be tempted by the things that are outside the self and that seem, ooh, shiny and cool. And, I got FOMO and I got to have that. Ooh, that's going to make me better. That's going to make me sing better. That's going to make me run faster. That's going to make me smarter. That's going to make me thinner. That's going to make me, so we look at all of these things outside of ourselves. We say that thing, that shiny thing, in my little magpie brain is going to go after that and it's going to make me happy. And in that, we continually just chase. But that is something that does tempt that other portion of ourselves. It's sometimes we consider that our ego. The ego doesn't know how to go inwards. It only sees things that are outwards. And so the ego says, ooh, if I have that thing, I'm going to feel so much better about myself. Or if I have that person, I'm going to feel so loved and I'm finally going to know what love is. And if I have, this situation, I'm just going to be so much happier. And so we are tempted by those things from time to time because we're human beings, we have egos. But when we go for those things, we have to be conscious enough to understand that if I'm really, really wanting that thing, not to say that it's anything wrong with wanting things. Obviously, I just showed you, I have like 4 new decks. Okay. I know that my ego really wanted those tarot decks or those oracle decks. So I got them. But consciously, I understand that if I were really trying to bring down some information, I could just channel it. I could go inwards and I could do it myself. I don't need the tarot cards of the tarot decks, but I do understand that, I do like those things. My ego likes those things, so I get those things. So it's just having that balance and understanding, instead of the unconscious, I keep searching, and I'm still not happy, still not happy. I think somewhere there is a balance. It's okay, I can live and have fun in this 3D world as a human being, allow my ego to run around a little bit, but I have to remember who's really in charge, my higher self. So my higher self has to guide me to make sure that I'm headed in the right direction, that the things I'm getting aren't, distracting me from, my ultimate mission, my ultimate purpose, and things like that. So it's just having that dual understanding that I want this thing. Yes, I do. My ego really wants that thing, and maybe I will get that thing. But is that thing going to make me truly, truly happy? No. But I know that true happiness comes from within. And if I go within and find that true happiness, maybe I won't need that thing anymore, or maybe I still get that thing and then I have a happy balance. I could be happy with it, I could be happy without it, but I still have it. So whatever, I'm cool either way because the happiness came from within. Okay. So that was cool. I like that one. All right. Number 6, how do you filter emotions like fear? Okay, so how do we filter an emotion like fear? And for me, I feel like fear is just a lack of understanding. And when we understand, when we have knowledge about something, how could we fear it anymore? There is no fear. Okay, so how do we filter an emotion like fear? Ooh, radiant. Nice. And Heather says, I got the 7 of Cups. It's a choice you get to decide. That's why we have free will to choose. Exactly. And it says, it just depends on the person and what the soul came to experience. John said, isn't that through the liver? True. The liver is the filter, the human filter. So fear goes right through our liver. Probably why sometimes when we feel fear, we feel like it's in our stomach area, but it's really like our liver, which is over here. Actually, nice observation. I like it. Okay, so how do we filter an emotion like fear? We have radiant. So that is actually, instead of running away from fear, because that's a fear response, but instead say, okay, I'm afraid of that thing. I'm afraid of public speaking. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid to ask that guy or girl out. I'm afraid to speak up at my job. I'm afraid, we have all of these different types of fears, and they're not always like fearing the boogeyman in the closet or, under the bed. But when we have this fear, it's a great opportunity to figure out where that fear is coming from and try to gain as much knowledge as we can about the thing that we fear. So let's say our fear is public speaking. I don't like talking in front of people. It just, I get really anxious, makes me sweaty. I just, my voice starts to shake when I'm talking in front of lots of people. I feel like I'm gonna start crying. But let's say it's public speaking. And then we say, okay, I have this fear about it. Let me try to gain as much knowledge as I can about public speaking. And I want to practice it. Maybe I'm going to practice it in front of like my cat and my dog, and then I'm going to practice it in front of some friends. And then I want to practice in front of my family. And I want to practice in front of like some people in the neighborhood, maybe we throw a block party or something like that. And then later on, I feel more comfortable talking in front of large groups of people, but really it's the knowledge and it's practicing, the thing that makes us fearful, but also going inwards and trying to find find out, where did that fear originate from? And it could be, maybe in childhood, we were told to be seen and not heard. Maybe we're told, don't speak up, or keep your voice down, or, don't talk back to me, all of these things that, parents they're not trying to be mean to us. It's just what their parents taught them. And then they learn that that's how to be a parent. And then they teach that to their kid. And then, and that's how the cycle happens. So, and maybe so at a certain point, we were taught to be quiet so much, quiet from our teachers, from our parents, from, everybody. Then when it came time to really speak out and speak our voice, it became like a fearful thing. Like, oh, well, if I talk, people get mad at me, and even though logically we know that if I'm doing public speaking, if I speak up, people aren't going to get mad at me, but there is that fear, there's that trauma inside of me. So when I go in and I work on that, while in the 3D, I'm gathering information about the thing I fear, we're gaining the within and without type of knowledge, right? We're gaining the 4D knowledge, which is inside of ourselves. And then we're also gaining the 3D knowledge, which is outside ourselves. And that is what's bringing that illumination, that radiant, energy, shining a light on the thing that we fear. And it's no longer scary. When you shine a light on the boogeyman, you realize it wasn't the boogeyman at all. It was just a stupid doll that was sitting in the corner of your room. So hopefully that makes sense. I like that answer. I dig that. And John says, this is, I'm John's inflamed bile duct. Nice. So the fear has been going through your liver, been inflaming that bile duct. Well, interesting. Well, it gets filtered in many ways through us all. All right. Ooh, my little page flipped. Okay, so we have a couple of questions left, you guys. Second to last question, which is number 7. Can you use your force for compassion? I believe we pulled a compassion card earlier about how to really tap into that force, which was with our compassion. But can you use your force with compassion? Can we use our force with compassion? So let's say we had, I don't know, freaking Luke Skywalker type powers. Like, I've got psychic ability, I just know things. I am clairvoyant, and also I have telekinesis. I just I'm making that thing come to me, which technically is manifestation. But anyway, so can we use that with compassion? Because finding your inner power, well, with great power comes great responsibility. That's a different movie, but still. Anyway. Okay. Ooh, we have serenity. So can we use the force for compassion? Well, we sure can, because the most compassionate thing we can do is to go inwards and be compassionate with ourselves, just like the answer that we had earlier. When we tap into that heart space, it's when we're in alignment with our higher self, when we're in alignment with our heart, with our soul. That is compassion. And that is connecting to everything around us. That helps us to have a deeper, closer connection to our loved ones, to our partners, with our animals, with our friends, with everything, with the jobs that we have. It just creates this deeper connection. And so with this serenity, you can't help but to use it in a compassionate way, because let's say I'm going to, I don't know, use this for selfish purposes. I'm just going to tap in, to this person, and I'm going to try to use it for selfish gain. But by doing that to another, you're being not compassionate to the self. And how strong is that connection actually going to be? How strong is that intuition actually going to be when you've basically disconnected yourself in such a way that you're saying that person isn't me, and I am going to harm that person? Well, you harm yourself in the process. And in that process, we become more and more disconnected from that higher self, which is what the negative polarity has trouble with. They have a disconnection sometimes with the higher self because they don't know how to go inward. So everything is just a reaction, take, hurt. But then how good is their intuition? How good is them connecting to their soul space, their heart space? How good is them connecting to the collective consciousness? It's a lot more difficult. So in using your intuition, in connecting to that heart, that universal heart, that collective consciousness, that source energy, God, whatever you want to call it, that is in itself an act of compassion. And how you use it can only be really, truly in a compassionate way, because everybody is just a reflection of us. We're all one. So to harm another is to harm yourself. To help another is also to help yourself. To help yourself is to help another, and vice versa. Okay. Last question. What is the destiny you must fulfill? So let's see. What is the destiny we must fulfill? Ooh, that is a big question. Heather says, I got the same message you did, Tara. 3 of Pentacles definitely makes sense. Nice. I like when we're all like simpatico. Okay. What is the destiny we are to fulfill? Your destiny. The Mayan astrology charts that I do for people, the birth charts, actually to the Guatemalan day keepers, the Mayan day keepers, they call it our destiny chart. But it's really not a predetermined destiny. It's what we make of it based on the energies that surround us at the time of our birth, and the energy that surrounds us now. So I take that into consideration when looking at this question. What is the destiny we must fulfill? Well, let's see. It's really just based on the energy that we are vibing with at the moment and our own little personal journeys, which help make up the whole, which is source. So what is the destiny? Nice. I like it. The destiny we must fulfill. And it says centered. The ultimate destiny, taking into consideration everybody's got their own mission and purpose. Some people, their mission in this lifetime is to understand the negative polarity. Some people in this lifetime, their mission is to understand the positive polarity. For some people, it's meant to understand what it is to have lack. For some people, it's to understand what it's like to have abundance. We all have our different missions, our different purposes. Maybe it's to awaken, so to speak, in this lifetime. Maybe it's to stay asleep in this lifetime. We're all aiding the whole in some form or another. So the ultimate destiny is to aid that whole. Basically, it is to fulfill your personal mission. Your personal mission isn't going to look like anybody else's personal mission. It's not meant to look that way. Think of it as, let's say, one being, this collective consciousness. We're all one, right? You have this one being. This one being says, I want to learn as much as possible. So I'm going to splinter it off into an infinite number of beings. And each of those beings is going to fulfill something different. They're going to see things from a different perspective. They're going to have a different belief, a different background. They're going to have different traumas. They're going to have different successes. They're going to have different loves, different hates. They're going to have all these things. And I'm going to learn, and in the end, it helps the learning of that singular being, and that singular being is all of us. It is the all. And so that's how I see this centered card, is that how we fulfill our destiny of the collective consciousness is for each individual basically to fully embrace their individual purpose, their individual path. And maybe in this lifetime, it's to feel like I never found a path. Maybe in this lifetime, it's I totally know my path, and I'm on it. But all of it is helping the whole. So hope that makes sense. Very cool. John says, but there are major themes for certain times. Definitely. There definitely are. Oh, I love that picture. Nice. Okay. So for those who were popping in a little bit after we started the chat today, if you're wondering like what questions I was using and where I was going with that, I was using Sasha Graham's 365 tarot spreads. Love Sasha Graham. I think she's doing, or she's just finished up another movie that she's in, but she's awesome. I love the things that she creates, and I love that she's like also an actress on the side. That's pretty cool. So it was day May 25th, which is today, and it was the Star Wars spread. So right there. Da, 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 da. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. Let's get to making our banishing negativity healing matcha tea. And while I get started, I'm going to turn on my water. Excellent. That's going to start boiling. I'm going to point the camera down, and we're gonna start this process. So let me just arrange things a little bit differently so you can see what it is that I am doing here. What is she doing here? Many would like to know. I would like to know. Okay, so as I point this down, I will explain this tea that I am making. Kayla's been waiting for this, so she is so excited. She's like, woohoo. Okay. All right. So you guys can see that there's the tea over here. All right. I got my little book over here. I like this book by Phoebe Anderson. It's called The Tea Magic Compendium. And actually, my good friend in Belgium had gifted this to me. Okay. Maybe I could put this over on this side so there isn't such a shadow. There we go. That's a little better. And I think you guys can see it a little better. Plus, you got the boiling tea over here. Okie dokie. So I'm not fully using the recipe from the book. You know, I always just use things as like a guideline. I don't like follow things verbatim. That's not my style. Anyway, so with this, and let me open up my little book here. Okay. So for this healing matcha tea, you don't have to have like a little matcha bowl, but I do to make my matcha. I have my little whisk, and I have a cauldron here with a little white candle. And what that is for are for the things that we would like to banish from our lives. So I have a piece of paper, I have a pen, and we're going to write down all the things that we would like to banish from our lives, and I'm going to burn it and put it into this cauldron here. We're going to set the intention that we would like certain things or certain thing banished from our lives. And we're going to set that intention into this tea. In this little teacup here, I have rose and lavender. And so basically I'm going to pour the hot water in here. I'm going to infuse the rose and lavender. I'm going to take this little strainer and I'm going to pour it into my matcha. So I have some matcha tea right here. I have some organic matcha tea. I'm going to place it in here, just a little scoop ski. And that's like the just kind of how to. But on the magical side, we are going to, once this is made, whisper our intention into this while keeping our intention in mind with this whole process. Ooh, looks like our water is boiling. That's excelente. I love that it boils so fast. I love my electric kettle. But I'm also infusing that intention into my rose and lavender, which is in this cup. I am infusing it into the matcha tea. I'm infusing it into everything, but you can go ahead and whisper it into the mug or the cup or the bowl that you're making your matcha tea in. I like to stir things kind of counterclockwise to like get rid of, and then when I want to bring stuff in, I stir them clockwise, or sometimes counterclockwise. We call them windershins. So we're going to stir it windershins or counterclockwise, and then I have a little something that I'll say. You don't have to use my exact words. I do encourage you guys to create your own words, but we'll, like I said, write the things that we want to banish on this piece of paper, and then when you're done, we're going to rip it up. We're going to put those little pieces into the fire and just kind of let them burn. So make sure you have a nice heat-proof dish. I have a Lodge cast iron cauldron here, so that, you know, stuff doesn't light on fire. That's not my intention. There are certain things I want to light on fire, like the pieces of paper, but not the forest. Okay. Let's see. Heather says, I'm going to have to Google this spread to do myself later. It's a good one. Ooh, glad you dug it. Kayla says, I'll try to make some too. Yay! She says, oh, nice. I need a whisk. Okay. So yeah, if you guys are going to be following along with me, get some matcha tea, find some rose and lavender, or any two herbs that you feel are infused with love and protection. Okay, so that's totally up to you. It doesn't have to be rose and lavender. Like I said, I never follow things exactly. You know, I do my own thing. So let this just be inspiration, and then you create your own thing. If you're going to make matcha tea, you do need a little whisk. And you can use a white candle or any other candle. I just like white because it seems like clearing and, you know, purifying, things like that. And then just a pen and a piece of paper. All right, so let's get to making our magical brew, shall we? All righty. Ooh, and we need a lighter. That's right. Okay, I have a lighter in my pocket. We're golden, pony boy. Ta-da! Lighter. Okay, a little orange lighter, connecting it to our sacral chakra. All right, so I am going to pour my hot water into the cup that has the rose and the lavender. Ooh, that already smells freaking awesome. Okay, we're gonna let that steep. What I have this little strainer for is because I don't want all the rose and lavender in my matcha tea. So I'm gonna like pour it through this strainer. Okay. Now we're gonna take our matcha tea. And I have my handy dandy little bamboo scraper thing. And I'm gonna get about that much matcha, just one little scoop skis. That'll do me. Maybe a little bit more. I like a lot of matcha. Okay. Okay, so I have my scoop of matcha. Maybe a little bit more. Gosh, I'm like a sucker for matcha tea. I love how it tastes. Okay. See, nothing is an exact science. John says, I've only recently fell in love with matcha. Ooh, you know, I love so many different types of herbs and things like that. And for me, matcha tea, you know, the green teas, things like that are just so connected to the heart space, not only for their color, but for how they make me feel. And so that's why I'm creating this like banishing negativity spell with the matcha, with the lavender, with the rose, because to me, those are all heart-based herbs. So for you, for your own magical practice, you have to consider what feels heart-based to you. It may not be matcha tea, it may not be rose and lavender, it may be something else, but figure out what connects to you. So for me, you know, rose obviously for compassion, for understanding, the lavender for peace and calm, but also protection, the matcha tea for, you know, the heart centeredness, feeling connected to one's higher self, connected to one's, you know, center, the collective consciousness. That's why I'm utilizing these herbs here. And so if I'm banishing negativity, if I'm banishing a certain negative person or situation or thing or just energy, I want the help of these herbs here, my allies, which, you know, if we're all one, these allies are also me. I'm tapping into these herbal aspects of myself to gain clarity on number one, why is this situation, this person, or this thing in my sphere? Why is it in my reality? What am I meant to learn? How did I attract it in the first place? Okay, I've learned the lesson. Now I'm ready to release it. I'm ready to let it go. And so this is a 3D representation of what we do when we do shadow work, when we go inwards. So, you know, I am connecting to my heart space. So this is a 3D representation of that. I am writing down the thing that I want to banish, the thing that I want to let go, or the person or the situation or the energy, which is a form of shadow work. It is going inwards and pinpointing exactly what it is that disturbs us, trying to understand what they were trying to teach us, how I brought them in the first place. And then I rip it up because I say, okay, I've learned the lesson. Boom, I'm ready to let it go. Hence the fire. And we ourselves are that fire. Okay. Now, I think maybe I'll give this a little bit more steepy time. Let me find my lighter. And I'm going to light this baby. Ooh, maybe I'll light it this way. Okay. And then I have my little piece of paper. I'm going to use Sasha Graham's book to write on. And I'm going to write down things I would like to let go of. Things I'm ready to banish. Negativity I'm ready to banish. Let's see, what else do I want to banish? Oh my gosh. What an awful time for this pen to run out of ink. That sucks so bad. Okay, no, we have ink again. Whew. I was like, what the deuce? Okay. Oh, I think it just doesn't like writing on this book. Okay. Wow, no, this pen just sucks. But, you know, that's what happens when you get a free pen. Okay, I think those are the three things that I would like to get rid of. Okay, so I'm just going to put this here. You could have more than three things, or maybe it's just one thing, or just, you know, but that's just for time's sake. Just, you know, I've written down three things. Okay, I'm going to separate those three things right now. So I'm just, here's one. Here's two, and here's three. Okay, so I have my three things. Okay, now, Kayla says, I'm using an electric blender with milk for a latte. Ooh, I like that, a latte. John says, I was going to let go of perfectionism, then thought of uncertainty, but I think they're the same thing. I agree. And actually, that is one of the things I wrote down for myself was uncertainty. Sometimes I let my uncertainty hold me back from actually trying things and actually giving it my all. Okay. I'm going to pour. Ooh. There we go. Into the bowl. Into the bowl with you. Perfect. Alrighty. So now we're going to take our whisk. Oops. I got my little papers wet. That's okay. They're going to burn anyway. And we're going to whisk it up. Okay. Stirring counterclockwise. Mixy, mixy, mixy. And then I'm going to visualize what it is that I am releasing at this time. And for me, my words are, and you guys can use your own words, like a storm passes on over strong winds, my life's dark storms move on, and I am free to the clearest skies and the sun's shining blessings. And I'll repeat it 2 more times. Like a storm passes over me, strong winds. My life's dark storms move on. I am free to the clearest skies and the sun's shining blessings. Like a storm passes on over strong winds. My life's dark storms move on, and I am free to the clear skies and the sun's shining blessings. Okay, let me just mixy. I like to get crazy mixed. And I'm mixing as much as I can Wintershins counterclockwise. Oh, I suppose I can move my tea kettle now. It doesn't need to be in such a balanced place. So normally, if you're not using infused water with like rose and lavender in it, this water would become really frothy, this matcha tea. But it is not only because it's got different herbs in it. So I'm not expecting it to be frothy at this time. Okay, I'm gonna put my little blender there, my little whisk. Okay, so now I take my wet pieces of paper and I'm getting ready to burn some of these. Oops. All right. Watching it go away, go away, banish. That one I'm letting go of what I feel is a fear of heights, although I think I've already been working through that one. And here I let go my uncertainty. And this one, I let go of a particular energy. Ooh, burn, baby, burn. I like it. Actually, I want you to burn more. I want more burning. Ooh, yes, yes, yes. Burn it all away. Nice. I love this. I think I'm kind of a pyro. I love to see things burn. All right. So most of this being burnt in the cauldron. Heather's like, fire, fire. Okay. Now, you guys, I take my matcha tea, which is burning hot right now, and I'm going to whisper my intention in here, what I wrote on my piece of paper. So you're going to want to do that too. So you take your bowl, your mug, your cup, your blender, and you're going to whisper into it as you blow on it. What was it that you were banishing? What was it that you were releasing? Uncertainty. Fear, his energy. And then I'm going to extinguish the candle. Take this once again, and I'm going to have a little sip. Holy cow, that's good. Oh my gosh, why haven't I mixed matcha tea with other herbs before? This is so good. Who knew that banishing negativity could taste so good? So not only do I love the taste of matcha, which is freaking awesome, but I love the taste of lavender and rose, and you can taste the lavender and rose so much. It's like, how do I want to put it? It's like eating something sweet in the middle of a field. That's the closest I could. Wow, this is quite the ambrosia. I love it. Heather said, same. I think we are all a little pyro as long as it's done safely. Exactly. Kayla says, it's delicious. Mm. Oh my gosh. That is so good, you guys. I can dig it. I can dig it. Okay. And we're back. All right. Well, wow, that was so good. I definitely hope you give this a try. It's just a simple little thing. I don't like to go over the top with, my magical workings. So it's just, again, you do it your own way, but how I did it was, oh, hello, geese. There's a bunch of geese flying overhead right now. There you go. You guys could see them. Well, I take that as a good sign. I mean, what do we think of when we think of geese? Well, they're pretty fearsome. I mean, they don't mess around. Just because they're a bird, if people like come near them, they will goose you, basically. I mean, that's where goosing the term came from, was geese. So they will attack, and they are like pretty fearsome. So if we're creating a banishing negativity spell and some geese fly over, I feel like that was good. Like it's a good sign. They're off to go goose whoever it is or whatever it is I had burned in my little candle. So yay, geese. I like that. Also, they're cleansing honking sounds. But yeah, so I used lavender and rose, and I put it in this little cup. I boiled some water. I let it steep in here. So now I have like rose and lavender tea. And then I poured that into my matcha bowl, and then I whisked it up, got it all mixed up pretty well. And then I set my intention, what is it that I'm banishing? I, asked for the help of those plant allies, our matcha, our rose, our lavender. I whispered the things that I'm banishing into the cup that I'm actually drinking. Eventually, you're going to pee it out and you're going to let it go. And then I also wrote it down on pieces of paper. I burnt that in my little cauldron, my little heat-proof dish. And then I had a few words to say, and I did it counterclockwise, Windershins, because for me, that's like a releasing. And then clockwise is when I'm bringing something in. So for me personally, counterclockwise is like I release. And then, I just had my own personal words to say, about this, about the tea that I'm drinking. So you guys can definitely create it your own way, get creative. Let this just be kind of like a jumping off point. Kayla said that was fun. So glad you dug it. John said strength, freedom, adaptation. Ooh, and Silver Star says, yes, family protection, love, community. Love that. Awesome. All right. Well, we've come to the portion of our live chat. If you would like to do a super chat or super sticker, ooh, what deck would I use for super chats today? Let's use our birds. I mean, we had some geese fly overhead. Let's use our birds deck. You could have the question posed kind of like Star Wars which would be kind of cool, but you don't have to. You could just have like a personal question. You could do general readings, whatever. But yeah, they're all just like little one-card readings for everybody who's new to the channel. Yeah, the super chats and super stickers are just donations. It's just, so that there is an equal balance of energeticness, of energy. Alrighty. And then afterwards, we'll do our channeled guided meditation, and we'll call it a Sunday, y'all. Okie dokie. So let me get out the spiritual meanings of birds oracle deck, and I will continue to drink my matcha tea, my healing, banishing negativity matcha tea, because it is so freaking good. Mm. Ah. Oh, yay. So it looks like our buddy John has a super sticker. Yay. Just let me know what your question is. Like I said, it could be fun, like Star Wars type question. It could be a personal question. It could be whatever you want, actually. I'm just, and then our friend Kayla, who's been a member for 34 months. That is over a year. And over, wow. Wow. Kayla, oh my goodness, I hadn't realized. That is so cool. Okay, so Kayla had a question. What does Frankie want her to know right now? And then we have our buddy John, and then we have Patrick. Yay! Okay, so Kayla, who, well, Frankie, if you don't know, Frankie is her little birdie. And so I'm so glad that we are using our spiritual meanings of birds deck that pairs absolutely perfectly. Kayla said, such a long time, right? I know. Wow. Thank you. You are so freaking awesome. Like, I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody so much, but wow, just that's like ride or die. That's awesome. Okay. So, Heather, put down the list for me. So it's Kayla, John, and then, Patrick. All right. Do. All right. So Kayla, what does Frankie want her to know right now? Okay, so let's tap into Frankie's energy. Actually, let's have another sip of banishing tea. Excuse me. And let's tap into Frankie's sweet little energy. Okay, Kayla, this is a little weird, but here we go. Oh, okay, awesome. So, when I was tapping into Frankie's energy, Frankie was showing me these like reels that I've seen on Instagram where it's like two people's like crazy looking chickens and they just like bob their heads and it's like the camera's up close and it's like they're rocking out and they just look so silly because some of them have like their feathers, like all up and it's just like kind of crazy. And so like Frankie was doing that too. Like they're just like, ooch, 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 ooch. Just like, Frankie, what are you doing? And Frankie's like, I want Kayla to be like that more. Like, who cares if you look silly, if you look a little cray cray, if you're feeling something like, ooch, 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 like just go with it. Like these chickens in the memes. And Frankie's also like, just like going with it. But yeah, it's the I'm getting this feeling of maybe, and this is something that we're all we're all human. We all like sometimes get a little self-conscious, worried about how other people will perceive you if you just kind of like let it all hang out. Just like, oh, I want to go do this thing, but then there's the thinking of like, well, I mean, maybe people might think I'm a little too weird, or maybe people might think I'm making the wrong decision, or that maybe they think I shouldn't wear my ponytail on the very top of my head, like, like that went out of style in 1984. Like I shouldn't do that. But Frankie's like whatevs. Like we have this one very finite time here on Earth, and sure, we could look at it from the more expansive view that yes, we have an infinite version of ourselves happening at this very moment, and everything is infinite and nothing ever really truly dies. Okay, yes, we get that. But in this one moment, in this piece of our consciousness that's here right now, it's gone in the blink of an eye. So why not have fun? And remember that all those other people, they're all on their different missions, and you're on your own little mission, and you might as well have fun with that mission instead of worrying about what the other people in their own missions with their own points of view and their own beliefs and their own traumas and their own triggers and their own things that hold them back. Instead of worrying about what they think of you, because it's really about what they think about themselves, not really about what they think of you. Why allow them to hold you back? So Frankie's just like, oosh, 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 oosh. Like, just kind of go with it. Um, Heather says, I watch SpongeBob too much with my kids. I still hear these songs. So silly. Okay, so let's pull a card, though, to see what else we get from Frankie. Ooh, it's the Robin. I don't know if we have cockatiels in this deck, but we might. It says new beginnings, cheer, and cycles. And actually, I think I saw some robins yesterday, so that's actually really cool. So let's tap in a little bit more. Okay, so Frankie's like, okay. He says, Kayla has already been on this, like, as of like this year and a little bit of last year, this self-awareness to the point where it's one thing to know something consciously and it's another to really start living it. And Frankie feels like you've actually tried to start embracing what you know consciously, where okay, yes, we're infinite beings. Yes, I know I have this very finite time on earth. Yes, I know that there's an infinite version of myself happening right now. Yes, I know that we are all one, and that person is me and I am them. Frankie is me and I am Frankie. And we know all of this. But Frankie says you've really started to kind of embrace that, where you've kind of allowed yourself to, a little by little, start to break away from the mold of the ego and embrace more of your soul. And so Frankie says, I'm just trying to remind her at this moment to, let it hang out a little bit more. I see you, just, have fun with it. We're here to have fun on earth. Yes, we're here to learn. Yes, we're here to embrace whatever polarity we are. Yes, we're here to embrace those lessons and those setbacks and those things that fly us forward, and, and those highs and those lows. Yes, we're here to embrace it all. And in all of that, let's have fun doing it. And have fun doing it, meaning do whatever you feel like doing. If you feel like dressing in all purple one day, I mean, like purple scrunchie, purple sweater, purple pants, purple shoes, go ahead. Who cares? Somebody's like, oh, wow, you look like Alexander the Grape, which is an Otter Pop, if you guys remember Otter Pops. And you just be like, peace. They're just jelly because they haven't embraced they're wearing all grape one day, but basically just having a lot of fun. So that is Frankie's message. Just let your freak flag fly, because, I mean, who else is going to let it fly? They have to watch you first, and you're the example. And then they can let their freak flags fly. Kayla says, wow, this makes sense. OMG. Heather said, pretty deck. And Kayla too. Kayla is gorgeous. I mean, tapping into all your energies, I love each. It's so different because I know you guys see me, but technically I don't see you guys like in a visual sense. I feel you guys energetically. You guys are all amazeballs, I must say. Hey, Time Harvest is here. What up, dude? Heather said hello to Time Harvest. Kayla says, I needed to hear this. Thank you. You are very welcome. And then let's see, we have our buddy John. So John, let me know your question. And then Patrick already has his question lined up. He wants to know his soul mission. So we will indeed get to that. Okay. So John, and I'm going to have another sip of that banish. Thou art banished. Now I'm thinking of Romeo and Juliet, where Romeo was like, banished, why art thou banished from Verona? Sorry, I'm an English nerd. Thou canst say that thou art banished. Well, in this case, the negativity is banished. But um, okay, John says, I'll trust what I'll get, the message I need. Okay, sounds cool. Silver Star says, exactly, Tara. I couldn't say it better. I'm so grateful for our Sundays together. I look forward to seeing you all week. Oh, Time Harvest is wondering if I ate the 2 wild honeys yet with crackers and tea. Not yet. I figured since it was special and I have my birthday coming up, I would save the tea, the crackers, and the honey for then, because it is very special honey. So yes, I will save it for then. But yeah, my birthday is not like, it's not for another couple of weeks, but still. It is fancy and it is special. So I want to save it for something very special. Okay. So John, let's tap into John's energy first. Oh my gosh, John, you have the coolest like soul playlist. I mean, I love all of your soul playlists, but when I tap in, I get some good music off of you. Okay, so Heather said John, and then Patrick is up next. Oh, excellent. Okay, so I was hearing with Karma Chameleon from Culture Club. Karma, chameleon. You come and go. You come and go. Love is like my dreams. Red, gold, and green. Red, gold, and green. Every day is like survival. You're my lover, not my rival. Come, chameleon. Okay, so you have a great music playing. All right, so let's actually pull a card and see what Boy George is trying to tell us, what Culture Club is trying to tell us. Ooh, the magpie. I was just talking about the magpie earlier. Hoarding, distraction, balance. And then I think of that music video and it's like so much color. I think a magpie definitely did make that music video. I mean, with all the colors the Boy George is wearing, all the colors of the people, basically it's the colors of the decade, but it's like, it's just like so like over the top, but fun. And, you know, okay, so let's tap in. Let's see what little magpie is trying to tell us. Okay. Okay. So Magpie was like, I just brought in Culture Club because there's one particular part of the song where he says, Boy George says, red, gold, and green. Where are those colors? Red, root chakra. Gold, we think of like our soul star chakra. We think, you know, the higher chakra is above the crown chakra. And green, heart. So root, heart, higher chakras. That's your soul star. That's like, you know, everything, universal consciousness. It's all up there. And Magpie says, oftentimes, like you're looking for these, which this isn't a bad thing. So don't take this as that you're doing this. No, they're just saying, oftentimes you have this beautiful higher perspective. You know, everything that, you know, happens in your life, you're really good at bringing it up to the eagle eye perspective, a bird's perspective. You're up here and you're like, okay, well, this happened in my life because, you know, this, and we're working through this, and you're looking at everything from the huge, beautiful, bigger picture. And how could I utilize this to help, you know, my wife, or help my, you know, friends in my life, to help my family? That you are so much a bigger picture type person. how this in my life is affecting this person, and you're so worried about all the people that you're affecting, and that's wonderful. You know, Magpie says that's great. That's a beautiful perspective to have, to see how you are intricately connected to all these people and how past traumas are happening in this lifetime right now, and it could be affecting this person in this way. But Magpie says, let's come back to the red, gold, and green. Let's come back to the self. And sometimes we have to bring the perspective in. So this week, and you know, this is not like forever. They're just saying every once in a while, bring the perspective inwards and just sit with the self and thanking and showing love and gratitude that you are able to have that higher perspective, that you are so compassionate. You're always worried about how your actions, your energy affect other people. That's beautiful. And you're always working on your shadows. That's beautiful. But sometimes we need a little break ski and we need time to just sit and reflect and be like, you know what? Yay me. I'm doing a wonderful job and I'm grateful that I have the perspective that I do. I am grateful for everybody being a mirror around me, being able to show me the things that I've been able to work on, that I've grown and the way that I've grown. You know, if I look back 5 years, I'm definitely not the same John. You know, if I go back 15, 20 years, definitely not the same John, but I needed those different versions of me so that I could be right here, right where I am, and just sitting in that gratitude. I'm happy being me in this moment. We're always evolving. We know that. But in this very moment, showing love and gratitude for who you are right now, and that you have the abilities that you do, that you have the ancestors that surround you at this time that you do, that you have the people in your life that surround you at this time, and just being grateful with the self. Thank you, John, John the higher self, and John the ego for helping me on this journey, and being here right now. So it's kind of like bringing it in just a little bit and just doing this every once in a while. So thank you, Magpie, for helping us out with that. Oh, Time Harvest says, don't forget to do a live stream and your birthday so we can all celebrate together. Yeah, well, actually, it would be when does my birthday fall on? 7, 8, 9, 10. It falls on a Tuesday. Tuesday live chat? We could do that. I'm sure we could do that. Or we just have a special, even more special Sunday live chat the following Sunday or the Sunday before. You know, we'll see about it. Let's see. John says, I came across a hawk feather this week. Oh my gosh. I usually take hawk as a sign to have a higher perspective. So it says, thank you, Magpie. So I think what Hawk was saying is that you already have that higher perspective. Sometimes we got to bring it back down to planet Earth, come back down on the ground for just a little bit, and then you can go back up to the higher perspective. But it's having a good balance. And Heather says, I have to step away for a moment. Hey, no worries. And Time Harvest says, Tara, I think I saw you as a blue avian with ascending, overwhelming energy. Am I right? Heck yeah, blue avian is one aspect of my higher self. I love blue avian. Okay, so we had our friend Patrick as well. And by the way, thank you, Kayla. Thank you, John, for allowing me to read for you. Patrick wanted to know, hold on. Oh, your soul's mission. Got it. Okay. Yay. Kayla said, thank you. You're very, very welcome. Okay, so Patrick, what is my soul's mission? Okay, so again, let's have a little sip of Banish tea. Thou art banished from Verona and my sphere. Okay, and let's tap into Patrick's energy. Okay, so Patrick, it's not so much as a song as it is a visual that I'm seeing. Interesting visual. So it's like seeing a boy running really, really fast. And as he's, I don't know, how do you describe this? But as he's running, It's like you see a little boy, like let's just say little boy, blonde hair, running, and then it's like he sheds his skin. He doesn't stop. He's still running, and it flies behind him. Now you see a giant cat like running, and then the cat like sheds its skin, and then you see like it was like the coyote is running, and then you see it shed its skin, and then you see this blue like entity running. So you get what I'm trying to say? So it's like just seeing this continual shedding as this being is moving forward, as the little boy is moving forward. It's like different aspects. It's like kitty cat, coyote, blue being, which look like Arcturian, just like running and just like going through all of these suits, I guess, you know, because our energy is infinite, and we basically just wear a suit for a time when we're in our lifetime. So it's like shedding all of these suits. Very interesting. So let's pull a card and see how that connects to your soul's mission. But I keep seeing that just like it gets left behind. It's like torn off of you, left behind. Like now I'm a kitty cat. Now I'm a coyote. Now I'm a Arcturian. Now I'm draconian. Now I'm, wow, you are like all over the place. Like this is crazy. It's awesome. Ooh, bluebird. I love me a bluebird. Maybe because I like to connect to the blue avians. This is happiness, peace, and hope. Okay, so let's tap in. Okay, so your higher self said you may have noticed that it's almost like you've lived 100,000 lifetimes in this one lifetime, and that actually is part of your soul's purpose in this lifetime. Like for some of us, like I mentioned before, like my purpose is to understand the negative polarity, or my purpose is to understand the positive polarity, or my purpose is to understand lack, or my purpose is to understand abundance. But for you, your purpose in this lifetime is to have so many evolutions of the self in this one lifetime, and so many like evolving perspectives, and perspectives from your higher self, from your ego, that it's almost like you've lived 100,000 lifetimes. And that is the mission. The mission is to evolve in such a way that you are continually shedding, that you're not the same Patrick from minute to minute. And that's okay. So it says it may create what feels like sometimes a chaotic life, where it's like, wow, it's like I was this person 1 minute, and then I had these people in my life, and then poof, they're no longer in my life anymore. And then it was like, then I was doing this for a job, and then that was for like 5 minutes, and then it was like poof, and then I was like, whoa, you know, I went from like woodworking to now I'm like a mechanic, into like now I'm like, you know, a teacher. You know, I'm just like it, you know. And so it may feel that you may have been almost like some people from an outside perspective may say, oh wow, like Patrick was all over the board, like he doesn't know his purpose, because he's doing this, he's trying that, he's trying this. But that is indeed your purpose. Your purpose isn't to find one thing to stick to it. It isn't to find one belief system. It isn't to find one hobby or one job or one friend or one family member that you connect with for the rest of your life. Like that isn't your purpose here. Your purpose is to almost like do as many samplings of this lifetime that you can in the area that you live in, and the body that you inhabit, as possible, before, you know, this portion of this particular part of your consciousness, this particular part of your timeline is over. So it's like you're at the buffet in this lifetime. You're at the sampling buffet. So I'm gonna sample a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. So it's the continual like shedding. And it may feel disruptive at times. It may feel like sometimes I just want some peace. I just want a little bit of chill. But it's like, and then you constantly like find something else. And it's like, ooh, I'm over here now. And then I'm over here. But that's because your soul can handle it. Your soul understood that coming into this lifetime, that it wasn't going to be, one of those lifetimes where, I grow up, I get married, I have a family, I have a home, I have this one job that I have until I retire, and then I retire, and then I die. Like, that's not for you in this lifetime. It was, I'm going to the sample earth buffet, and I'm going to like know as much as I can. I'm going to sample as much as I can. I'm going to like reinvent myself like 100,000 times in this one lifetime. I am going to have fun, and I'm going to blow my ego's mind, and I am going to expand my consciousness. And, that's basically like, I'm ready for, this is like the last hurrah before ascension. It's like, let me just like sample everything on earth and in the higher realms. And then, okay, I'm outie 5,000. So I hope that makes sense, that it's meant to feel a little chaotic. It's meant to feel a little like, well, if I go this way, is that my purpose? It's all your purpose. Like, it's not meant to stick to one thing forever. It's like, I'm a little sample of this, a little sample of that, a little side of chicken wings, a little bit of barbecue sauce, a little bit of, a little bit of ranch seasoning. Just, it's a little bit of everything. Wow. That is awesome. So Patrick, I hope that makes sense. Um, and then Time Harvest says, speaking of bluebirds, right? You're just talking about the blue avians. All right, Heather is back. And John says, wow, welcome home, Quantum Patrick. I know, right? um, and then Time Harvest says, thanks for everything. Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, hey, Time for Harvest, if you have a question, I'll pull a card for you, or it could be, a general. Is cool. Is cool. Ooh, the wind kicked up. Oh, that feels so good. Because it was a little hot in the sun, I might say. um, okay, let me have a little bit more of this matcha tea. I'm gonna whisk it a little bit more. Get whiskey with it. Ooh, I like when you re-whisk it, you get more matcha. Oh, Time Harvest is not, it's okay. Just thanking you. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. All right. Well, on that note, let's pull one more card then, just for all of us. And then we'll do our channel guided meditation. But I do want to hear from my birdies, so let's do that. Let's pull one more from our birdie friends. John said, just sipping on dinner kale over here. Ooh. You know what I like? Are kale chips. When you just like take straight kale and you put a little bit of olive oil on it and you bake it in the oven, get it nice and crispy, put a little bit of sea salt. Perfection. Kale chips. I learned that from my good friend Jolene back in San Diego. She used to be part of the Mormon church, and she said that the ladies had taught her how to make kale chips, and so she was like passing the recipe on to me. She's like, well, it's not really much of a recipe, it's just olive oil and salt and kale. And I was like, but they are so good, it was addictive. John said some, not dinner. Okay. And Patrick says, yep, it all falls into place. Finally, I'm so happy now. Thanks so much. You are very, very welcome. John's over there. Oh, kale chips. Okay. So one final birdie message. And of course, it's going to be Mr. Owl coming in with the wisdom. It says focus, prophecy, and wisdom. So one last one before we go into our channeled guided meditation. So let me just tap into this one. Oh, and then we have Silver Star. Well, heck yeah. Silver Star, we'll pull a card for you. So just this is something that it's not nothing that we don't know. It's not anything that we don't know. But the owl just wants to remind us that starting right now, moving forward into this week and beyond, if you so choose, listen to the silence between, the silence between your thoughts. What is going on there? The silence between people's words, between their actions, the silence between news breaks. It's that pause, that stillness in between. Really tap into that. And it feels like there's some big messages coming in for a lot of us, the whole collective consciousness, but it's not in the loudest thing. It's not in what's being on the news. It's not the loudest person on YouTube. It's not, my words. It's the breath in between, the line in between the next line that you read in those books, before the person speaks, before your next thought. Tap into that stillness. Go in between. And there's a lot to be gained for a lot of us in there. If we could just, if your friend's going off saying, well, I went to the mall and then I went to the mall. In that pause, there's a lot going on in there. Before your next thought, there's a lot going on in there. So it's feeling into the pause, into the stillness, into the breath, before the next action happens, before the next loud thing, envelops our eyes, our ears, our nose, before our senses are taken over by the next thing. Use that sixth sense, that soul sense, that heart sense to go in between and pause and listen, really listen. Yeah. Okay. I will try. I will say I will try. And hopefully you guys will try too. Silver Star says, just a bit of love. Thank you for all you do. You don't need to, just a little love. Thank you, Heather. That is so kind of you. Thank you so much. Well, Heather, then just let me just at least pull you a bird. Let me just pull you a bird. Patrick says, thanks again for all, just perfect. You are very welcome. It's a Star Wars fun. It gives me all that I needed to know. Much love to you too, my friend. And Heather says, would like to give you more. Not working has been an adjustment. Hey, no worries. No, definitely no worries. Okay. But a birdie that would like to help you out, Heather, at this time is the thrush. I haven't seen too many thrushes, but it says voice, commitment, and cleverness. And perhaps that is the commitment to listening to the inner voice about the stillness that you are experiencing right now. For you, this is the pause in between, and it's really feeling into it. So, hey, very nice. And Silver Star says, okay, that's perfect. And Time Harvest says, are the blue avians technological or more spiritual and nature focused? Not sure if it did a channeling on, if you did a channeling on them yet. I did actually. I did a channeling on the blue avians. It was rather interesting. They do incorporate a little bit of technology into like how they connect what I've come to see as like the 13th dimension. And for some, it's like the 12th, like 11th to 13th dimension, kind of somewhere in there is the blue avians. And they do connect to the birds here. And they say some of the birds are not real because some of them are like messenger birds. So it was interesting. So they do have a form of technology, but it's more reliant on the intuition, on the energy. Their main focus is energy. They're energy beings. I mean, all things technically are energy beings, but just how it seems like they operate is a lot of energy. And so they do incorporate a little bit of technology, but I wouldn't say that they are all encompassing. Not like the grays, like the tall grays are, where technology has overtaken them. It seems like the blue avians are more in the nature based, but they have a supplemental, like technology is supplemental to their mission and what it is that they are doing. But definitely go check out that channeling. If you go to my channel, and I think you can type up in the search bar of my channel just Blue Avians channeling or channeling Blue Avians. That should come up. Or if you scroll down in the playlist, it should come up. I believe I did that early last year, early 2024. So you should be able to find it there. Silver Star says, yay, that's absolutely perfect. So yeah, like I said, it does feel like they're helping people in this lifetime, the Blue Avians, to be free. Like that is their main focus. Just like when we think of like caged birds and things like that, their want, their need is to help people who are ready. You know, they don't want to force, they don't want to go against people's free will, but people who are ready to awaken in a way that they release their shackles in this lifetime so that they can fulfill, if that is indeed their mission, to fulfill, you know, more of what they came here to accomplish. But in order to do that, they have to free themselves from, you know, their mind's shackles, the shackles of society, their energetic shackles, all of that. So Time Harvest says, all right, perfect. I will check on it later. Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, let's do our channel guided meditation. I'm going to pull a bird just to kind of help me with this meditation. Oh, okay. You flew out. That's cool. Blackbird. Blackbird makes me think of To Kill a Mockingbird. Yeah. I believe one of the characters was nicknamed Blackbird. Interesting. Sorry, all this like old books, teacher stuff coming out. Okay, let me get out of the way so you guys have a more pleasant view. I'm going to turn this. Ooh, so you have like, let me see. Maybe we go this way. Hey, there we go. Okay, I'll get out of the way, you guys. So you have just a beautiful view of the forest. And I'm going to have Blackbird help us out. Time Harvest, I wonder if they helped the Lyrans back when the Lyrans were in war. I do feel that they did have quite the interaction with the Lyrans and that they did work together. So these were not like enemies or anything, but I do feel just in the channelings that I've done, some that were not on YouTube, some of them were like personal channelings, that they were kind of like working alongside the Lyrans at one point. So pretty awesome, which is interesting because on Earth, we always see like birds and cats are like against each other, but not so in the energetic realm. All right. So go ahead and find a nice, comfortable space, a place where you will be undisturbed for the next several minutes. You could be lying under a tree, sitting on the floor, laying on the bed, sitting in a chair, any place that is most comfortable for you. And while you do this, go ahead and bring your awareness to your breath. You can go ahead and place one hand over your heart and the other over your belly. And we are going to take actually some cleansing breaths. We're going to do a little bit of different cleansing today. And as we breathe in through our nose, we are going to breathe out through our nose in forceful huffs because we are going to release. Just like when we drank our Banishing negativity tea, we are going to cleanse the energetic body using this very physical technique. So we breathe in through the nose and then we're going to breathe out, and it's going to sound like this. Okay, until the belly is empty. Okay, so breathe in and out. In, out. Okay, short, forceful bursts. In, out. In, out. Okay, we're going to take a pause and allow yourself to breathe as normal. Go ahead and keep your hand over your heart and the other hand over your belly. Just notice how you are feeling in this moment, how your body is feeling, how your energy is feeling. Nice, steady breath. All right, and we're going to go back into it. We're going to do this a few times. So breathe in through the nose and out. In, feeling the lungs, filling the belly. Out. In, out. In, out. And pause. Allow your breathing to come back to normal. Gentle inhales and exhales. Again, noticing how you feel in your belly, how you feel in the body, how you feel in your energy. As we utilize this 3D technique to release any and all things that no longer serve us. We banish them from our aura, from our energy, from our emotional state, our mental state, and our physical state. All right, we're going to do this one more time. Breathe in through the nose and out. Breathe in and out. In out. One more time. In out. And allow your breathing to come back to normal. You may want to place your hands into your lap. Just feeling in the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body, the energetic body. Feeling into that whole auric field. How do you feel now? Think about the messages that came through today. The messages from our Star Wars spread, when we talked about the Force, we talked about the dark side, we talked about compassion. Think about the personal messages that were pulled for our friends today, with the help of our bird allies, what they had to say. And Mr. Owl, who came in, and he talked about the silence, the space between your thoughts, between your breath, between what you hear on the news, before the next sentence that your best friend speaks, before you read the next line in your favorite novel. What's in that silence? What's in the space? Go into it. Feel into it. Breathe into it. And think about the tea that we made today, banishing negativity, and the herbs that were utilized, the spells that we spoke. Just have a little sit with it all. As we listen to the birds, feeling the breeze on our skin, the movement in the trees, the greenery that fills our senses. And when you feel ready, come back into your body. Remember, there is no rush. If you need more time, then take all the time you need. But for those who are ready, come back into your physical self, feeling into that body, perhaps wiggling your fingers and toes, and having yourself a nice big stretch. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Woo, hello. Thank you for joining me in the Star Wars spread, creating the healing, banishing negativity matcha tea with rose and lavender. For those who allowed me to pull cards for them today, thank you so much. John says, so much love to all of you. I must away with my ravens. And away he goes. And Patrick says, wow, amazing. This is the best day of my life. That is amazing, amazing. Kayla said, amazing meditation. Thank you guys so much. Thank you all for joining me. Heather says, hugs to each of you. Excellent. Love you guys. Kayla's sending her hugs. You guys are all so wonderful. Like I said, I tap into each and every one of you energetically, not just the people I'm reading for, but everybody. I feel you guys in the chat. I feel all those higher selves, all those, just everything. And that's why I love being with you guys, here on Sundays. I love, having fun with you. I love pulling cards with you. I love telling silly stories. I like sometimes when we're a bit more serious and we have to, share things because we're healing through something. I love that we have this space for that. I love that we can be open and honest and, whether we're sharing our highs or sharing our lows. I love this wonderful space. Time Harvest says, beautiful meditation. Thank you. And Heather says, such a beautiful day with all of you, sending lots of love. I bid you all adieu with my heart. I wish you a blessed day. Same to you guys as well. All right. Well, on that note, I hope that you have a gorgeous Sunday. I hope the rest of your week is awesome. Don't forget to sit in the space in between. And that you guys have an amazing week. If you're going to watch Star Wars today, may the force be with you. And I will catch you guys all next Sunday. Peace, love, and chicken grease. Peace out. Bye, guys.